Today I want to talk a bit about sulfur intolerance, sulfite intolerance, the CBS gene, and also glutathione, and how that all interconnects to maybe give you a sulfite intolerance, that you've never had before. So in my case, this happened when I got sick after I took the corona vaccine. A week later I had just extreme anxiety, brain fog, sleep problems, and some other things. And I noticed after a while I also got this sulfite intolerance, so I couldn't drink wine anymore, I couldn't eat these dried fruits. And I was digging into the literature, I was also a lot on forums and stuff, and they said, well, if you've got the sulfur intolerance, you might have a CBS gene mutation that's causing this. So, and for the longest time, I've been thinking I had the CBS gene mutation. I've been doing everything to support it. Turns out, this CBS gene mutation doesn't even do that much, and there's a different explanation for a sudden sulfur/sulfite intolerance that I just want to get into in this video basically. So I'm going to share my screen with you and explain the pathway I've been looking at. Okay guys, so let's try this out. So you've got homocysteine. It starts with homocysteine. And this homocysteine can either go up to methylation, you might have heard of it, it's the MTHFR thing, where homocysteine will get turned into SAMe, and the SAMe is used for methylation. It's basically the fuel for methylation, and otherwise the homocysteine could get pulled down. So based on how much SAMe you've got, homocysteine will either go up to methylation, and if you've got enough SAMe, it will go down to transsulfuration. And this is where the CBS gene directly comes in. It's also the enzyme that turns the homocysteine into cystathione. And well, this is not so important, but the important thing to realize here is, like I said, people used to think and talk about, and there's still kind of a thing going on, that the CBS gene, if you forget like a mutation in it, it could cause severe upregulation of the gene. They were talking 7 or 8-fold, which, to be honest, nowadays I'm not sure if it's. I think there's some literature on it, and it's way less. It's like maybe it's not even a 2-fold increase. So then I was thinking, well, what could be the cause of this whole thing? Because, well, sulfite intolerance is a real thing, and especially if you've not had it your whole life. But when, like in my case, it started suddenly after you've got sick, after you've been sick for a while with something, people don't really know what you've got. You've been to multiple doctors, they don't really know what's going on. So what's basically happening is, because let's just take my case as an example. So I had some chronic inflammation going on, right? And to fight off the chronic inflammation, you need glutathione. You need glutathione, GSH. This glutathione that you're using up you can get it back in 2 ways. You can either recycle the glutathione, so when the glutathione is used up, it's turned into GSSG. And GSSG is the oxidized form of glutathione, so the used up form, and it's kind of toxic to the body. So you don't want this piling up whatsoever. To recycle the GSSG into the glutathione, you need something called NADPH. And you will hear me speaking a lot about this on this channel, because NADPH is basically a currency the body uses to fuel a lot of reactions that are very important. But the thing is, there's also this enzyme called NOx. And what NOx is doing is it's taking this NADPH and it's weaponizing it against something like a virus. So the name, what NOx actually stands for, is NADPH oxidase. And NOx takes your NADPH and then turns it into superoxide. Superoxide, which is a free radical, right? So that's causing oxidative damage. And to be honest, this whole thing is a good thing, because without NOx, we wouldn't be alive. If we've got a virus, we die from the virus. So you need NOx to protect you against these things. The problem is when NOx activation turns chronic, like it did in my case. When I got the COVID vaccine, a week later I was just sick, right? And nothing I did made it better. So the important thing to remember here is that this chronic NOx activation is limiting your NADPH. That's then stalling the recycling of the oxidized glutathione back into the reduced and usable form of glutathione, the regular glutathione, right? Okay, so okay, doesn't matter. So then you've got, this is one way to get more glutathione, or to get the glutathione you need, is to recycle it. The second way is to actually make glutathione. And that's where the transsulfuration pathway comes in. Because after the CBS pulls the homocysteine into transsulfuration, it creates something called cysteine. And this cysteine is one of the building blocks for your glutathione. So when the body notices you're using up all your glutathione, it's not being recycled, it will severely upregulate this pathway right here, just to get the building blocks, right? Just to get the building blocks for glutathione. By doing this though, it will also create, because this is not the whole transsulfuration pathway, there's a lot of steps that come after this. And one of the things it also does, it creates a byproduct called sulfites. And these sulfites will be piling up. Like if you upregulate this, okay, let me just give you a little bit of theory on that. So these sulfites then need to be detoxed by something called an enzyme called SUOX. That's the reason people take molybdenum. It's to make this SUOX enzyme work harder. I'll make a video on that in the future, because I think you shouldn't be taking any molybdenum. But that's something for later, right? So the SUOX enzyme doesn't just need molybdenum though. It also needs support from the mitochondria. It needs ATP, and it needs heme. And this heme is made from glycine and succinyl CoA, right? From the Krebs cycle, which is basically, it's ATP related. Let me just say it very easily. So you could see why this is a very fragile part of the cycle, right? The detoxing of sulfites is relatively difficult for the body, especially when you've got a very big upregulation just to get your glutathione back. And this is exactly what I noticed in myself, because I was never sulfur intolerant or sulfite intolerant in my life. And then I got sick. It was going on for 1 or 2 months at that time. And then suddenly I couldn't drink wine anymore. I couldn't drink red wine, I couldn't drink white wine. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And that's just because your body heavily needs more NADPH. It needs to stop NOx from firing, so you're not using up your NADPH. And then it needs to take that NADPH and start recycling its glutathione again, so that this whole thing can finally calm down. Because the most effective way to get more glutathione is not to supplement it, because the moment you supplement any glutathione, it will instantly turn into this oxidized form, which you would then need to recycle again. That's why you don't see this is why you don't see good evidence on the supplementation of glutathione whatsoever. And then when you've got enough NADPH, your glutathione will be recycled. And you can finally get on the path to healing yourself, to be honest. So yeah, I know this is a relatively rough sketch of the whole thing, and there's definitely more things going on, but I was just looking at this today and I found it extremely interesting, so I thought I might as well share it with you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. And yeah, I hope you have a great day.